That down, let's move on to this, shall we? In the glorious world of victory after victory that is the Sony Spider-Verse, we, of course, have a big movie on the way out coming called Kraven the Hunter. Following the epic successes of Madam Web and Morbius and Venom 3, which, by the way, has quietly gone on to be profitable. Venom 3's gone on to be profitable. Crazy. But here comes Kraven.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how big of a disaster Morbius was, and it was. I don't care how big of a disaster Madam Web was, and it was. I kind of believe in Kraven. Because number one, they've got a much better director, and they have a much better screenwriter than like Morbius or Madam Web did. And that's the most important thing. Who are the people behind it? Who are the people making it, right? And I don't care what anybody else says. I like the trailer for Kraven. I do. But is anybody going to go see it? That's a different question. Whether the movie's good or not, and whether the movie makes any money or not, those are two different questions. Now, I may have some belief that Kraven might turn out to be pretty okay. And I love Ricky Tikki-Taki playing the lead role.
He's
That's great. Yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson in there. I mean, it's not any worse than G-Spot. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, I love him in the role. I love the casting, all that kind of stuff. You got Academy Award winners in this movie. I think there is the potential there for it to be pretty good. Again, solid director, solid screenwriter, great cast. I believe in it. Now, it might turn out to be horrible. That's fine. But we've always known there's going to be a question about whether or not anybody's going to see it. Number one, nobody knows who Kraven the Hunter is. Outside of comic book fans, nobody knows who Kraven the Hunter is. And for people keeping score, hey, we went to go see Madam Web and it was terrible. And we went to go see Morbius and it's terrible. So how is Kraven going to do at the box office? Well, according to projections coming out of Box Office Pro, not good, Timmy. Not good at all. Screen Rant wrote the following. Per Box Office Pro, Kraven the Hunter is projected to make $20 to $25 million on its opening weekend. This figure is considerably lower than Morbius's $39 million domestic opening weekend. Kraven the Hunter also could match Madam Web's abysmal 6-day 25.8. By the way, it only made, I think Madam Web made much less than that on its opening weekend. Opening earnings, potentially making it one of the lowest grossing films in Marvel movie history. Now, just to remind everybody, Morbius opened with $39 million and worldwide went on to make $167 million. Madam Web had an official opening weekend of $15 million, and that is not a typo, folks. Madam Web worldwide grand total ended up making $100 million. Worldwide grand total. Now, I don't know. What is the production budget for, if you guys can look that up, the production budget for Kraven the Hunter?
Kraven? I'll look that up.
Yeah, for Kraven the Hunter. But an opening weekend of $20 million won't cut it.
Between 110 and 150.
Which is not a ridiculously expensive total for a box office for a comic book movie.
Wikipedia actually has it listed at 130.
All right,
that's
well,
right between
let's
there.
just say it's 130.
All right, let's say 130. That means say about $40 million because I don't see them marketing this movie a lot. So let's say, let's be a little more, let's say 50. So $50 million marketing budget. Now you're talking about 180. This movie's going to need to make close to $300 million to break even. And if it opens like around $20 million,
it's never going to have the success of Morbius.
It's never going to have more. Now, look,
all relatively speaking.
Now here's the thing. Let's look at this graphic again. Now we're looking at these grand totals of 167 million and 100 million. These were both completely shitty movies. If Kraven's good, I'm not saying great, but if Kraven's good, it could make noticeable more than both of these.
Maybe.
But will it get 300 million?
I don't know, because I really do feel like this is where the DCEU was at. Blue Beetle opened at 25 million as well and went on to make 130.
And that was a pretty good movie.
And I think this is where audience are now. They're just like that. You're getting that amount of people that are coming out for a Sony spiderless Spider-Verse movie.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Thank goodness it is football season. It's time for tailgates, touchdowns, and Sunday cookouts with the crew. But unfortunately, along with the drinks and the food, sometimes you also bring along your odor. And that is why Mando whole body deodorant should be an absolute tailgate game day essential. And that's why Mando's the MVP. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code Campea. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code Campea. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code Campea and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. I was kind of hoping that Venom 3 would be a better movie than it was.
And Blue Beetle was good, in
Yeah,
my
but
opinion.
The problem was people had given up on the DCU
That's what I
already,
mean.
right?
People have given up.
I was kind of hoping, going back a number of weeks, I was kind of hoping that Venom 3 would be really good. I love the first two Venom movies. I didn't like Venom 3. I was kind of hoping Venom 3 would be good enough that it would actually give some momentum for Kraven. I actually think it killed more of the momentum, despite the fact that Venom 3 is actually making okay money. I just don't see, it's the third of a franchise. Nobody knows who Kraven is. And this could be disastrous. Now, look, for me, the only thing that I'm really concerned about is it going to be good? And again, I don't think there's any reason to believe that it won't be. Again, you got, for instance, for a movie like Kraven, you got the guy who wrote the Denzel Washington Equalizer movies. That's a positive to me.
Especially for this kind of film.
Yeah, for this kind of
because
film.
This feels
yes.
like, this does feel like a John Wick meets like this a Spider-Man type movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you've got I don't think one of the great directors working today, but you got a solid director, the right screenwriter for something like this. That's the building blocks. Madam Web and Morbius had like the worst screenwriters on the planet doing it. They're literally the worst I'm sure they're wonderful human beings, but the literal worst screenwriters in the business wrote those two movies. That's not the case with Morbius, or not the case with Kraven, I should say. So I still believe there's a chance for this to be good, and that's all I care about. Now, I already saw prior to the show starting in our live chat, like people saying, well, maybe this will be the final coffin and Sony will give up the Spider license. Guys, stop. Stop it. They literally could lose $1 billion on Kraven, and they won't. Of course, the most they can lose is probably about 100 million. But they could lose $1 billion on Kraven. It does not matter. Sony is not ever giving up the Spider-Man license unless Marvel comes along and makes an offer unreasonably large. And they're not going to do that either.
Like what would you say? Where would you put that? 5 to 8 billion? Like where it's just like, okay, for one case.
That's exactly where I'd put it. Somewhere in the $5 to $8 billion range.
Yeah.
And it's simply not worth that to Marvel. That's just not worth it to Marvel.
Yeah.
And Marvel's doing quite fine. Guess what? Marvel and Sony are both doing quite fine under their current arrangement. Everybody's making money.
Yep.
Everybody's happy. And so Marvel is not going to, Sony ain't going to give it up for like $2 billion. They're going to want 4 or 5 or 6.
These are essentially just licensing films. They're just putting these out so they can keep the license for Spider-Man. And they've got the animated world. Spider-Verse is a success. So
yeah, and that's the other thing. Let's not forget, Sony, in my opinion, Sony has made not 1, not 2, but the 3 best Spider-Man movies ever. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Those are the 3 best Spider-Man movies ever made, and they've all been made by Sony. So, like, I still have a lot of faith and belief in the animated stuff that they're doing. So there's that. And I know I'm still like, maybe I'm just being wildly naive. I'm still holding out hope that maybe they can knock this one out of the park like they did the first Venom. Because remember, the first Venom surprised everybody.
Sure.
And maybe they can do that with Kraven. But either way, it's just not going to make a lot of money.
I think the problem with this movie is Venom. It had that little, I don't know, that little charm to it.
Sure, that's exactly.
As brutal as it was, this movie just feels like it's brutal. And probably one of the reasons why the marketing was so low. How can you show like anything that has to do with animals, like and market that, like especially if they're getting hurt? There could be a lot of things that happen in this film where they can't market it to the general audience, which is unfortunate because, you know, like if it's a good movie, then it's already starting behind. Like
I honestly don't think there's going to be a lot of animals in Kraven.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Just human brutality.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of human brutality.
We saw that trap. What they did
Oh,
with
yeah,
that
yeah,
trap. If this film is 1 hour and 30 minutes. Oh wait, it's actually the longest. You said the longest.
Like 2 hours and 29 minutes or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, but it's one of the long films. Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be gory.
Never mind. That took away my whole point.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, listen. I remember at CinemaCon back in April, like Aaron Taylor Johnson got up on screen and like said to the audience, people have been asking me, what's the movie rated? It's fucking rated R. And like they were very, very clear that this is going to be a very brutal movie. Like they're like, if nothing else, how good or how bad it's going to be, we don't know. But the one thing I feel very confident saying, and this is neither good nor bad, it's going to be brutally violent.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That won't make the movie good or make the movie bad. I'm just saying that the one thing I think we can completely count on from everything they've been telling us was that it is going to be a brutally violent film.
And how do you think the general audience will react to this? We know he's involved with Spider-Man somehow. But if someone who doesn't know anything, you know, there's been no hints that he's in that universe from the trailers. Like someone who doesn't know anything about that and just watching it, I guess that maybe they're banking on just attracting people from the violence and the...
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, you know what? It seems like, to your point, they've learned their lesson because in Madam Web, all that marketing was Spider-Man marketing.
Yeah.
Look, like even the guys climbing in the trees, they look like Spider-Man. Oh, that's Aunt May. Oh, that's blah, blah. Like everything all the marketing made it feel like any minute Spider-Man's going to show up. To their credit, at least up until now, they've done none of that for Kraven. None of this misdirect, oh guys, if you like Spider-Man, maybe you should go to this movie. Like they've done none of that and they've kept it totally separate. And I actually respect them. It might not be a good business decision,
Right.
but I actually respect them for it.
Do you think this will hurt Sony in the end by not trying to introduce these characters even just a little bit in the Spider-Man films before they, you know, money-wise, monetary?
No, because
monetarily?
remember Sony's not making Spider-Man films.
Oh,
that's Marvel, right?
Oh, right.
So they can't
They signed
introduce
that deal,
yeah, they can't introduce a character in a Marvel MCU movie and then bring that character over into thing,
okay.
right?
And
So-
they did try bring the opposite of that with Michael Keaton's
with
Vulture.
Morbius, right?
Yeah, and that didn't even help.
And that didn't help them either.
No.
Like, right? They like, look, guys, it's Morbius, and they showed all in all of Morbius's marketing. Look, he's walking down this alley with this big Spider-Man mural on the wall, and Spider-Man this and Spider-Man that. And that didn't help it.
But if they released a Morbius movie and a Vulture movie at the same time after No Way Home or Homecoming, Vulture would probably made more, but just because of that relation to Spider-Man, right?
Yeah,
Being
but
in
Sony couldn't make a Vulture movie.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to put in.
I know, it's just-
how important Spider-Man may
Look.
be to some films.
Here's the thing. There's going to be one of two stories that gets told coming out of Kraven. Either the story of yet another big flop failure, or the story of this is the movie that maybe could start to turn things around if it's good. I mean, look, no matter how good or bad Kraven is, it's not going to make much money.
Nope.
I think we all agree with that, right? It's not going to make much. It'll make more if it's good, but regardless, it's still not going to make a lot of money no matter what. But the question is going to be, will the movie be good? Because if the movie is good, then at least that's something you can work from when you're planning. Because as of right now, we don't have the next movie announced, right? If Kraven is at least good, then again, it's a starting point. It's something you can build off of to go into the next project. But
There's actually a story that just dropped like maybe a couple hours ago of the director actually pleading for people to actually give the movie a chance because of all the box office.
yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, because it looks like not many people are going to go see it. And you know what? They're saying 20 to 25. I won't be surprised if the number's smaller. I'll be there, and I'll be
be there.
happy to be there.
Oh, but it's long.
I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. I don't care. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The opening projections are lower than Morbius, almost maybe as low, depending if you go to the lower end, as Madam Web. Guys, whatever you think about this, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.